All right, ladies and gentlemen, I couldn't have planned that any better than I could have. It was exactly 4 o'clock when it started officially going live, so that is good on-time management. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chris, and this is my channel, Barnun 11970. And while I'm waiting for people to see that the broadcast is indeed live, I want to let everybody know that especially if you're new here, this channel is about trying to find as much truth as possible. Now, obviously, like I've always said, perspective is going to influence your version of truth. So it's basically a maze of misinformation, fear, distraction, rabbit holes, everything. And I'm going to show you a little experiment. Now, if you're not familiar with my channel, I mean, I'm not here to say I have everything right. Obviously, nobody can do that. But what I do is question things. And I think if you look at society as a whole, we're being trained that it's bad to question things. And only people who want you to believe in their agenda will make you feel bad or that you've done something wrong by asking questions. And I'm going to show you a little experiment that you can do, and you don't need thousands of dollars worth of equipment to do it, and then ask some questions. So as you could see here, if you look on the screen, it says it's easier to fool people than to convince them that they have been fooled. And that was a quote that was written by Mark Twain, which, by the way, his real name was Samuel Clemens. Most people may not be familiar with that. So before I give you this little experiment, if you want to ask any questions, because I don't think this is going to be a very long video unless people start asking questions, but in the comment section of the YouTube video, I posted the link to my Google Plus page. Now, obviously, if you follow me on Google Plus, it's going to be a lot easier to know when I'm going to do these live shows because they tend to be random when I have something I want to speak about. So I'm going to do a screen share really quick, and I'm going to show you something. And this has to do with, let me show it first. Let me make sure the screen share is on. Okay. So we are on Google Earth. Oh, wait. Oops, sorry about that. Hold on. Let me try that again. Start screen share. Present to everyone. Okay, you should be able to see now. There is the Google Earth map, supposedly in real time, of the United States. There's Florida, there's the coastline, there's the Great Lakes, yada, yada, yada. Now, if you see these dots and you see how they're moving, those two crossed over each other. And you notice these are live satellites all around the planet. Now, I'm going to zoom out a little bit, but right now, there are 15,609 objects supposedly in the sky. They're showing 9,521 of them, which means some of them you're not even allowed to know where they are. But if you notice, it's almost like, remember if you were older, if you're my age, remember the game Asteroids? And you see these dots just randomly moving all over the place. So according to Google Earth, and you could download it yourself and you could verify, you can go on YouTube and type in Google Earth satellites. They'll show you the real time of how many there are. And I zoomed in for a reason for the moment, is they're not all going in the same direction. You know, these are going down, these are going up, this one's going on an angle, so they're going in all different directions, supposedly. Now, it doesn't look like this a lot, does there? Well, let's zoom out so you could see a better perspective, and then I'm going to show you the experiment. So we're going to zoom out. Each dot represents a satellite around the planet Earth. Now, as you can see, it's growing and growing. Now, that's the inner layer around the Earth. Now, as you could see around here and around here, when I continue to zoom out, you're going to notice something else abundantly clear. And as we fade away, you could see how it completely engulfs the planet. Now, see, there's a secondary ring of satellites. So not only do you have the satellites orbiting the Earth, but you have all of these satellites on the outer rim of the planet. Now, for your experiment, and I encourage anybody to do this because, again, it's something that it's a simple question, it's hidden in plain sight, and you probably did not think about this until I point this out. So what I'm going to recommend is show this video to friends or family, coworkers, people that don't believe in this stuff, calling it tinfoil hat conspiracy theories. Do this little experiment and then ask the question, see if they can find it, because you will never find any of these satellites. So the best way to do it is with a telescope. But if you don't have a telescope, you can even use a binocular. And again, as you can see, I'm zooming. See that ring around the planet? These are supposedly, and these are the ones they show you and talk to you about. So there's a better perspective, and let's zoom out a little bit more. So we have all of these surrounding the Earth, then a further part, and then there's this entire ring that is going around the planet. See that? Okay, so you really need a telescope, but binoculars will probably work just as well. Now, you could do this during the day, you could do this during the night, you could do it in the summer, winter, spring, it doesn't matter. You will never see any of these with your telescope or binocular. Now again, as you zoom in, I mean, look at how many are just covering the Earth, and that's not including all of the ones around here and the band. So there's going to be a lot of interference when you look up in the sky. All right, as you can see, we could zoom in. I mean, look at that. And they're all moving. See, this is supposedly in real time. According to this right here, July 24th, that's UTC time. I'm not sure what that is, but it says 20:06, and you can see Eastern Standard Time, it's 4:06, so it's going with it. So all of these are constantly moving. So they're not stagnant. See, watch. See where the point is? See how that dot's moving away from it? Okay, so this is what I want you to do. Look during the day, look during the night. You will never see one of these getting in your way. Now, there's another thing that you can do, and people say, oh, well, maybe it's just blurry and you can't see it. Next full moon, I want you to take your telescope and focus it on the moon. Now, the brightness of the moon is supposedly the reflection of the sunlight going against it. So, at the very least, you would see little black dots all around the lighting of the moon. And yet you will never see them. So, my question for anybody out there is, do these satellites really exist? Now, I know many people will automatically dismiss things and say, oh, that's crazy. But like I said, anybody can do this. Take a telescope, preferably, but if you can't afford one or you don't have one, use binoculars. Look up in the heavens, so to speak. You will not find one of these satellites. And again, if you go on a full moon, where you'll see the brightness of the moon, you would at the very least, even if they're minuscule, you would see dozens of dots. Because as you can see, again, I'll zoom in a little bit easier. Now I'm going to put right on this dot. Now watch. I'm not moving the pointer at all. See how it's moving? So they're showing that these satellites are moving all over the place. So you could spend hours looking at the moon, looking up in the sky, and you will never see one of these, as you could see here, 15,609 objects. And they're only showing 9,500 of them. So they're basically showing a little bit more than just half of what's out there. And that's not including the space debris and all the other things. You know, supposedly when the rockets left the planet, they separate and they're now stuck in our orbit. And with gravitation, the way they talk about with gravity, these would eventually get pulled in. Now, I'm talking satellites can stay supposedly in orbit because they have thrusters. Well, what about all the dead space debris? Eventually, it's like a toilet. It gets drawn into the center. So with the spinning ball, supposedly, and I don't know either way, so I'm not suggesting anything, but with the theory of gravity pulling in towards the Earth, all debris would eventually be pulled in by the gravitational pull that are dead in space. And yet, have you ever had anything of military or NASA equipment, anything, fall anywhere that you know of? So my question is to everybody out there, As crazy as these things sound, as odd as this may be, what is wrong with asking questions? Because it's simple physics. If there are supposedly so many of these things randomly floating around us, to the point where you saw the maps and you saw the images, there are, and again, they're showing only a little bit more than half of them, and they're constantly moving all over the place. You should be able to spot at least black dots against the light of the moon moving. You'll never see one. You could look all night, you can look all day. So my question is, what does that mean? Now, if you don't want to use your brain and just automatically dismiss it and just say, oh, here he goes with this crazy conspiracy stuff, and you don't want to do the experiment, well, the only person you're fooling is yourself. And like Mark Twain says, it's easier to fool people than to convince them that they have been fooled. So I'm not here to change your mindset if you're not willing to be open enough to experiment and ask questions. I'm just pointing out things that I think are strange. And if you can show me proof of your own through your telescope, through your binoculars, whatever, if you could show me an image of a satellite that happens to float by, let alone the thousands that are all over the place, make a video and show it. But until then, we're taking the word for people that we cannot prove things ourselves. That's an agenda, and we have to ask why. And again, as usual, there will not be thousands of people that listen to this because, again, Mark Twain says it best, and just read it on the screen. Most people, you can't convince them that they've been fooled. They don't want to hear it. They'll just automatically dismiss it. That is dangerous, and that shows how easily people can be controlled. Now, I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just asking, why can't we see them? Is that a difficult question? Is that a wrong question to ask? And wouldn't it make sense that if all of these satellites are separating between us on the Earth and the moon that's revolving around us and can reflect light from the sun, how come you don't see ever through your telescope, which is zooming in, bringing things closer, how come you don't even see a black speck going across the moon as you're watching it? Because these things are constantly moving. So it doesn't look like anybody's asking any questions, and that's perfectly fine. My job here is to point out things, to make question of what we've learned, because the more you research this stuff, the more you're going to find that the things that you've been told are at the very least inaccurate. And there's a reason why they talk about the rabbit hole going very deep. It's up to you what level you want to get to. But again, as you could see, this is not fear. This is not, telling people you're going to die. There's lots of distractions out there. And I watched a couple of Alex Jones videos just to see what he's up to lately. And his ability to be full of garbage is just to the point where it's almost cartoonish. He's become a cartoon character. I haven't watched his videos in years. And these are the people that, some of the people that are quote-unquote awoke are trusting. He's an entry-level person that once you know there's something wrong, you should upgrade from there. And that's my opinion. But he's definitely turned into a cartoon character. The idea is divide and conquer. Get you to not ask questions. Just be good little followers. We're going to present, and I mean we, the whoever they are, we're going to give you the information. Don't question it. Just assume it to be true. And if you ask questions, you're ganged up on, you're insulted, you're attacked, you're name-called, you're ridiculed. That's how they silence people. And I am so used to people doing that to me over the years, it doesn't even really faze me anymore. I mean, like I've said before, you have people that are still using the 2012 argument about me because there's nothing else that they can think of. Because I'm no criminal. The last time I even got a speeding ticket was probably 15 years ago. There's no scandals that can be exposed. They can make whatever claims they want, but there's a difference between making a claim and proving one. So when you get the opportunity, if you have a telescope, again, is going to be the best, or a pair of binoculars, or just look up in the sky, look at the full moon yourself. See if you see anything of these thousands upon thousands of moving objects that are supposedly above you floating all around. See if you could spot one. I challenge anybody to do it. And then make videos about your report. Until we are unafraid to speak up, until we are unafraid to have our voices heard, we are going to continue to be controlled. Do people like having others tell you what to do? I am as independent as I can get in this corrupt system. Yes, I struggle financially. If I decided to work for the system and just ignore these things and just do what I'm told, yes, I could probably make a lot more fiat currency. Maybe have that little bit of a better life as you're being controlled. Because remember, when you sign a deal with the devil, he gives you everything that you want and desire. But you pay the ultimate price in the end. So I'm willing to sacrifice, and that's what I've told people. That is what this is about. I have my own businesses. I have no boss telling me what to do or when to do it. I don't have a bank account. I have at best a federal credit union, which is much different than a bank. I put lots of my income, and have been since 2006, into physical gold and silver, which people still say is a bad thing. My haters still have the same arguments when I keep telling them all the time. It is all about long term. I don't think they grasp that. So this can prove NASA is lying to you if you do the experiment. If you just want to dismiss it, then you're never going to know. There's a difference between believing and knowing. So I challenge any of my so-called quote-unquote truthers out there. If you have a pair of binoculars or a telescope, and even if you don't, you probably know somebody that has them. Go do the experiment. Make it like go out on the beach if you live on the coasts and make it into a little family thing. Oh, we're just going to look at the moon. And then just casually point out, it's like, wait a minute, I've heard there's over 13 to 15,000 satellites. How come I don't see any when I'm looking at the moon? And then people are like, yeah, you're right. Then it makes you wonder, are they really there? I guess we'll find out. So if you make a video, share it and post the link here. I will allow you to do that and help promote your channel, because we have to get the truth out there. There's so much truth out there. There's so many different ways to go. There's so many ways to be distracted. But one thing you gotta never do is give in to the fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being attacked, fear of being criticized. That's what controls people. Because people have said throughout the ages, oh, well, if these things were spoken about, we would have heard about it. People talk about it. They do. And when somebody does, they question you, they attack you, they ridicule you, they insult you, they ignore you. The more people on our side, the less people can have that grasp over us. Because if we allow it, then I guess we don't really want to be free. Because that requires sacrifice and effort and work, discipline and strength. It's easy to just sit there and have somebody else take care of you. That's not the way I want to live. So I hope you will do this experiment. I hope you will not be afraid to ask questions. If you think this is crazy without proving it or disproving it, you just automatically dismiss it, you're hurting yourself. That's up to you. That's a beautiful thing about free will, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. Free will gives you the ability to do the right thing, the wrong thing, or nothing. What you do from here is up to you. So thank you as always for listening to what I have to say. Whatever you want to rate it as, thumb up or thumb down, depends on if you watched this and enjoyed the fact that I am not afraid to question. If this is the first video and you'd like to see more, please check out. I have hundreds of videos that I've made over the years. I've been here on this channel at least since 2011, 2012. And I'm going to continue to go on and speak my mind and not be afraid to ask questions, because the more we do that, closer to real freedom we'll have. So thanks for watching. Hit subscribe and enjoy the rest of your day. Good night, everybody.